CE5, or Close Encounter of the Fifth Kind, is a term coined by Stephen Greer to describe intentional, human-initiated contact with extraterrestrial or non-human intelligence. Unlike other classifications of UFO encounters, CE5 involves direct, conscious communication between humans and these entities. These can include visual sightings, telepathic communication, or other forms of contact. The hitchhiker effect, in general terms, refers to the phenomenon where an initial experience or event leads to an unexpected and ongoing effect or effects that hitchhike back with the person involved. This means that after initiating contact with extraterrestrial or non-human entities, individuals may continue to experience strange or paranormal events long after the initial encounter. These after effects can be physical, mental, or spiritual, and often suggest a lasting connection to the encountered beings. I know that some might be skeptical about these concepts, and that's completely understandable, but this video isn't about convincing anyone to believe in CE5 or the hitchhiker effect. My purpose here is simply to explain what these terms mean and explore the reported after effects. Whether you believe or not, I hope you find the information interesting, and if you've come to the video seeking clarity on a personal experience related to these topics, know that you are not alone, and many others have reported similar experiences. When you dive into this world, a lot more questions pop up. I hope this will clear the air for you and provide some insight into what you may be experiencing. We're going to dive into the history of CE5 and the origins of the hitchhiker effect. I'll walk you through the CE5 protocols and types of encounters reported by people. We'll also explore the after effects associated with CE5 and share real-life case studies. I'll discuss the psychological impact on individuals and offer practical advice for those experiencing similar phenomena or interested in CE5. I also want to explain the religious implications of these phenomena, including questions about demons and whether CE5 conflicts with Christian beliefs. While this channel isn't really centered around Christianity or any specific religious belief, I believe it's important to explore the spiritual and religious perspectives surrounding CE5 and these hitchhiker effects. Some people view these phenomena as potentially demonic or in conflict with certain religious doctrine, raising questions about the true nature of these experiences. We'll talk about these interpretations, discussing both the skeptical and more ominous theories that suggest there could be darker forces at play. By examining these various viewpoints, I hope to provide a comprehensive and interesting look at CE5 and the hitchhiker effect, allowing you to form your own opinions on these mysterious and controversial subjects. I'm doing a lot of talking preparing to get into this, so I apologize for that. This is going to be very detailed, and I've already gone on for quite a while, so I'll include timestamps in the description and hopefully chapters on the screen so you can easily navigate to the sections that are interesting to you. If you are already familiar with some topics or want to skip ahead, just check the timestamps to find the segments that are most relevant to you. This way you can get the most out of the video without having to watch everything in sequence. I'm not here to waste your time. So as I said, CE5 or Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind is a term coined by Dr. Stephen Greer, but it wasn't actually invented by him. The concept of human-initiated contact with extraterrestrials has been around for decades, with various individuals and groups experimenting with meditation and telepathy to communicate with non-human entities. Greer formalized these efforts into what we know as CE5. In the 1970s and 1980s, early UFO enthusiasts and paranormal researchers began experimenting with techniques like meditation and intentional communication to establish connections with, for lack of a better term, aliens. One of the earliest known attempts at such contact can be traced back to the work of UFO researcher and author Dr. Richard Boylan, who promoted similar ideas of communicating with extraterrestrials through mental and spiritual means. Boylan reported that he had successful contact with extraterrestrial beings through meditation and other spiritual methods. He claimed that these experiences included receiving messages and instructions from aliens, which he then shared with the UFO community. Boylan claimed that the aliens provided insight into spiritual and metaphysical concepts, including the importance of peaceful coexistence and the need for humans to develop spiritual awareness. He also reported receiving details about the aliens' technological capabilities and their interest in humanity's evolution. Dr. Greer systemized these earlier practices into the CE5 protocols, bringing a structured approach to what had been a more sporadic and informal effort. His work popularized the CE5 concept and provided a framework for those interested in participating in intentional contact with extraterrestrial beings. To attempt CE5, follow these steps. Find a quiet location. Start by choosing a dark, open area away from city lights. A clear view of the night sky is crucial for this process. Take a moment to relax and clear your mind. Engage in a brief meditation or relaxation exercise to center yourself. Sit or lie down comfortably. Close your eyes and take deep breaths. Clearly focus on your intention to make peaceful contact with extraterrestrial beings. Visualize your desire for communication. Begin to relax deeply and imagine yourself floating above Earth, viewing it from space. Visualize your location and send thoughts and images of your exact position out into the universe. While maintaining your meditative state, project feelings of peace and openness. Imagine your thoughts reaching out into space, inviting any extraterrestrial beings to make contact if they wish. Use techniques like sky watching, where you simply observe the night sky with an open mind, or CE5 signals, which involve sending patterns of light or sound, such as flashlight signals or specific sounds, as a form of communication. After sending out your intentions, stay calm and watch the sky. Be open to any signs or responses, which could include unusual lights or movements. Use a journal or recording device to note any observations or experiences. This can help in analyzing patterns and improving future sessions. Once you feel the session is complete, take a moment to reflect on what happened. Express gratitude for any potential contact and close the session with a sense of closure. When you follow the CE5 protocols, here's what you might expect during the session and afterwards. As you enter a meditative state and project your intentions, you may experience a deep sense of calm and focus. This can sometimes lead to vivid mental imagery or feelings of connection to the cosmos. While observing the night sky, you might notice unusual lights or movements. This could include flashes or objects moving in patterns that seem out of the ordinary. Some people report seeing lights that appear to respond to their signals or intentions. You may feel a subtle change in your surroundings, such as a heightened sense of awareness or a feeling of being observed. Some practitioners report a sense of warmth and energy, as if they are in the presence of something greater. After the session is done, review any footage or photographs you might have taken during the session. Look for any anomalies or unexplained phenomena that could be associated with the CE5. You might experience a range of emotions from awe and excitement to skepticism or confusion. It's normal to have mixed feelings, especially if you encounter unusual or unexplained phenomena. Take time to reflect on the experience. Consider keeping a journal to note down any observations, feelings, or thoughts that occurred during the session. This can help you analyze the experience and refine your approach for future attempts. If you're part of a CE5 community or forum, sharing your experience can provide additional insights and support. Engaging with others who have similar experiences can offer validation and new perspectives. It's important to approach the experience with an open mind. Results can vary widely. Some may have successful contact right away, while others may not observe any significant phenomena for the first time. If you don't achieve contact right away, don't be discouraged. It could be a matter of timing or other factors. Trying again and continuing to practice the protocols may lead to success in future attempts. To go into detail of what you might experience during a CE5 session, it can include, but is not limited to, seeing lights in the sky that are brighter or move in patterns unlike typical aircraft or satellites. These could include flashes or lights that appear to change direction or intensity. You may also see objects in the sky that may seem to hover or move in ways that defy conventional explanation. Some people report seeing shapes or formations that do not resemble known aircraft. You might also experience a subtle feeling of being watched or a sense of connection with something beyond your immediate environment. This could manifest as a warmth or a tingling sensation. Feelings of awe, peace, or excitement are common. You may also feel a profound sense of connection or understanding, as if the universe is responding to your intentions. Some people report receiving telepathic messages or impressions that seem to convey information or emotions from an extraterrestrial source. This can include thoughts or feelings that are not your own but feel distinctly different. Now that you hopefully have a good understanding on CE5 and how to practice it, I want to talk about some cases of CE5 being used around the world. These cases not only highlight the success of these methods, but also show the diversity of encounters that participants have reported. One of the most significant CE5 experiences happened back in 1991, when Dr. Stephen Greer led a small group into the Sierra Nevada mountains. The group engaged in meditative practices and focused intentions, following the steps discussed before. Not long after initiating contact, they witnessed a series of lights in the sky that responded to their signals. These objects moved in a deliberate manner, as if acknowledging the group's presence. This event became a catalyst for Greer to formalize the CE5 protocols, laying the foundation for what many now practice worldwide. Another CE5 experience took place in Chile in 2010. A group of practitioners gathered in a remote area, focusing their intentions on making contact. After several hours of meditation and attempts at communication, they were met with a visual display showing multiple UFOs appearing in the sky, performing synchronized maneuvers that corresponded directly with the group's signals. The objects were observed moving in formations that suggested a conscious response to human initiation. In 2010, a CE5 group in Australia had another experience. This group had been practicing the protocols for several hours when they noticed a series of lights in the sky that seemed to emerge from nowhere. What made this experience stand out was the way that these lights moved in perfect synchrony, creating complex patterns. Participants described the encounter as both awe-inspiring and humbling, with some reporting a deep sense of connection and understanding. The footage from this event has been shared across various platforms. But in my opinion, the best place to read first-hand stories from hundreds of different people is the Experiencers and CE5 subreddits. It's a very active community with tons of different experiences that go beyond craft sightings and get into the telepathic and seeing entities. Seriously, if you want to read more about this, these are amazing places to go, and it'll blow your mind. Now that we've talked about what CE5 is and how to initiate contact, it's important to discuss what can happen after an encounter. While making contact can be a life-changing and amazing experience, it's not uncommon for some effects to linger long after the initial event. This phenomena is often referred to as the Hitchhiker effect, a term derived from the idea that when you stare into the void also stares back. In other words, the encounter you have may follow you back home. The energies or entities you connect with during a CE5 session might continue to influence, interact, or even linger around you long after the initial contact. This isn't just a passing phase, it can be an ongoing experience that seeks you out. This could manifest in a variety of ways. You might notice unexplained physical sensations like a constant tingling feeling on your skin or a sudden drop in temperature in your house. Some report seeing shadowy figures out of the corner of their eye, only to turn and find nothing there. Others have mentioned electronic devices behaving erratically, turning on and off without explanation, or experiencing strange, disjointed voices coming through their phone or radio, as if something is trying to communicate with them. Then there are the cases of psychic or telepathic communications that don't end with the CE5 session. Some have reported ongoing messages or images being planted in their minds, often at random times. These communications can be benign, but others have reported receiving disturbing visions of future events, grotesque imagery, and catastrophic scenes, leaving them disturbed. For some, these experiences can be so intense that they affect their daily lives, making it difficult to sleep, focus, or feel safe in their own house. I want to give a few real-life examples to show that this phenomenon is surprisingly not as rare as we would like to think. One involves a man who, after a CE5 session, began seeing distorted, alien-like figures in his home. These figures would appear at night, standing in the corner of his room or at the foot of his bed, staring at him. Despite his attempts to turn on the lights or get out of bed, he found himself paralyzed, unable to move as these beings watched him. This phenomenon, known as sleep paralysis, took on a more sinister tone when he began to hear them whispering in a language he couldn't understand. He said the whispers were so loud they seemed to fill his mind. Another case involves a woman who reported that after her CE5 experience, she began to notice what she called time slips. She would zone out for hours at a time, only to snap back to reality with no recollection of what happened. She also started experiencing intense feelings of being followed, even when she was alone. She described a constant, unnerving presence that seemed to stalk her, sometimes making itself known through heavy footsteps that echoed through her home at night. Another person described a series of events where objects in his house would move on their own, doors slamming shut, chairs sliding across the floor, and lights flickering. What made it worse was the sense of being watched. Not just a feeling, but the actual sight of shadowy figures that would dart out of his peripheral vision. This escalated to the point where he would find scratch marks on his body. Then there are accounts of people who believe that they were physically taken during or after a CE5 session. One woman reported waking up in the middle of the night to find herself in a completely different location, with no memory of how she got there. She was alone in a dark, deserted area, miles from her house. She was unable to move or cry out for help, almost as if an invisible force was holding her in place. Hours later, she awoke back in her bed, but the memory of the experience haunted her for months. She discovered later that unexplained markings on her body, small puncture-like wounds that she had no recollection of receiving. Some people have even reported poltergeist-like activity following a CE5 session. Constant banging on the walls, objects being thrown across the room, and even the family dog being terrified to enter certain areas of the house. At night, they would hear footsteps walking up and down the hallway, only to find no one was there. The final straw, they say, was when they witnessed a shadowy figure standing at the foot of their child's bed, causing them to flee the house immediately. But why does this happen? While we may not have all the answers, several theories try to make sense of it. When you engage in a CE5 session, you're opening yourself up to interactions with entities or energies that exist beyond our normal perception. These encounters involve a form of contact that isn't limited to the physical world. They can also touch the spiritual, mental, and psychological realms. One theory suggests that during CE5, you're essentially tuning in to a different frequency or dimension, a state of consciousness where you can interact with non-human intelligence. When this happens, it's possible that you create a link or connection that persists even after the initial contact. In other words, once you've opened the door, it's not so easy to close it again. These entities may continue to follow you, drawn by the connection you've established, or simply out of curiosity. Another possibility is that during CE5, you're inviting energies into your life that aren't necessarily benevolent. Just as there are positive energies, there are also negative or neutral ones that may attach themselves to you. This could be why some people report terrifying after effects like shadowy figures, distorted visions, or ominous presence in their home. In some belief systems, these experiences are interpreted as interactions with malevolent spirits or even demonic entities, a force that feeds on fear and negative emotions, which could explain the increase in paranormal activity and unsettling phenomena. It's also possible that these encounters trigger a kind of psychic awakening. Once you've made contact with NHIs, your mind may become more sensitive to subtle energies and beings that you weren't aware of before. This heightened sensitivity could make you more vulnerable to encounters with otherworldly forces, leaving you feeling exposed and vulnerable. In some cases, people report having continuous psychic experiences after CE5, such as telepathic messages, precognitive dreams, or seeing auras and spirits. While some may find these abilities interesting and fascinating, others could find them terrifying. Another factor to consider is the psychological impact of CE5. Initiating contact with NHIs can be a profound and mind-altering experience, one that challenges your perceptions of reality and your place in the universe. This can lead to a state of mental and emotional vulnerability, where the boundaries between the conscious and subconscious mind start to blur. In this fragile state, people might unknowingly manifest their own fears and anxieties, which could explain some of the more terrifying experiences. Finally, there's a possibility that some entities you encounter during CE5 are not strictly alien, but interdimensional beings that exist beyond our understanding of space and time. These beings may operate by completely different rules, and their motives or intentions might be incomprehensible to us. When you invite such forces into your life, you might be opening up yourself to experiences that defy logic and reason. While this can be exhilarating, it can also be very frightening. And don't brush off that last possibility. If you remember former government officials like David Grush and Lou Elizondo, they have testified that some within the government also view these entities as interdimensional. Their actions, how they appear and disappear, and the way they interact with our reality point to the possibility that these beings aren't simply extraterrestrial, but come from another dimension altogether. After reviewing some of the scarier aspects of the Hitchhiker effect, it's important to also acknowledge that not every experience is negative. While many report disturbing phenomena following a CE5 session, there have been cases where the after effects have been positively influential or inspirational. For instance, some individuals have reported experiencing a deepened sense of spirituality or greater clarity in their personal beliefs after CE5. Others have reported enhanced creativity, increased intuitive ability, or even a renewed sense of purpose. These positive outcomes show that the Hitchhiker effect isn't always a nightmare experience. However, it's worth reiterating that the majority of reports and personal testimony I have read did tend to lead towards the more scarier side. The potential for disturbing phenomena should not be underestimated, and it's important to approach CE5 and its potential after effects with both curiosity and caution. Remaining informed and prepared can help you navigate these experiences more effectively. So, don't let me scare you away from attempting this. To reiterate the point of this video, I want to talk about the Hitchhiker effects and the experiences that people shared. Again, not every experience is bad, and not every experience ends with the Hitchhiker effects, but it does happen, so I feel it's important to address. That's what interests me the most anyway, and why I want to make this. I probably should have included this at the top, but better late than never. One last thing on the Hitchhiker effect. Some may be familiar with the Skinwalker Ranch and the research teams that have gone out there and experienced this phenomena firsthand. Dr. Jim Segala, a member of the Skinwalker Ranch research team, described how disrespecting these phenomena can increase the likelihood of experiencing the hitchhiker syndrome, which can lead to serious medical conditions. not just for the individual, but also for their family members. One particular case involved a biotechnologist named Ron Becker and his daughter who had a close encounter with 3 blue orbs in May 2005 near Bend, Oregon. One of the orbs entered Ron's body, and he later developed a series of medical issues. Though his daughter was not physically hurt, she returned home to Connecticut to find her house overtaken by paranormal activity. Her roommates reported seeing shadowy figures and hearing loud footsteps at night, experiences they had never encountered before. This case illustrates just how powerful and far-reaching the hitchhiker effect can be, affecting not just the initial experiencer, but also those around them. If you want to read more on this, I'll have it linked in the description along with the other sources. When we talk about the world of CE5 and the hitchhiker effect, it's not just the realm of science and the paranormal that offers explanations. Many religious traditions have their own interpretations of these phenomena, viewing them through lenses shaped by spiritual belief. These perspectives can provide insight into what's happening and offer ways to protect oneself if these encounters take a darker turn. Whether you believe that this phenomena is religious in nature, or you're atheistic and see this as purely extraterrestrial, I find that the connections made between the two are too hard to ignore, and I just want to briefly cover that. In various religious traditions, encounters with non-human entities are often interpreted as interactions with spiritual beings, either malevolent or benevolent. For instance, in Christian theology, some might interpret the beings contacted during CE5 as angels or demons. Angels are often seen as messengers or protectors, while demons are viewed as entities that seek to deceive or harm. The hitchhiker effect, where negative energies or entities follow someone home after a CE5 session, could be seen as demonic oppression or even possession in this context. However, these beings might also be viewed as something more complex than simply good or evil. Some religious scholars and mystics have speculated that these entities could be interdimensional beings, creatures that exist outside our normal perception of reality. In this view, what some might call demons or angels could actually be entities from another dimension, with their own agenda and purposes that are not fully understood by humans. If these beings are indeed demons or malevolent interdimensional entities, many religious traditions offer forms of spiritual protection. For Christians, prayer invoking the name of Jesus or using holy objects like crucifixes and holy water are common methods of protection. In Catholicism, exorcisms are performed to drive out demonic entities, and prayers of protection, such as the St. Michael prayer, are recited to ward off evil. Other religious traditions have their own protective practices. In Islam, reciting verses from the Quran, especially Ayat al-Kursi, is believed to provide protection from evil spirits or jinn. Burning sage or other sacred herbs is a practice found in many indigenous and pagan traditions, used to cleanse a space of negative energies and protect against malevolent spirits. Buddhism and Hinduism offer mantras and rituals designed to shield individuals from harmful spiritual forces. The chanting of protective mantras, like the Gayatri Mantra, is believed to create a spiritual barrier that can repel negative entities. When it comes to interpreting CE5 experiences through a religious lens, the perspective you take can shape your entire understanding of what's happening. Some might see these experiences as divine encounters, opportunities for spiritual growth and enlightenment. Others might view them as dangerous interactions with entities that seek to harm or deceive. In some New Age and spiritual communities, CE5 is seen as a way to connect with higher beings, such as ascended masters or enlightened extraterrestrials. These entities are viewed as guides who can help humanity to a higher state of consciousness. However, even with these communities, there is a recognition that not all beings encountered during CE5 are benevolent, and spiritual protection is still advised. Ultimately, the power of faith plays a crucial role in how individuals cope with the after effects of CE5 and the hitchhiker effect. Whether through prayer, ritual, or meditation, many people find comfort and protection in their religious or spiritual practices. Faith can be a powerful tool for navigating these experiences, providing both a sense of control and a source of strength when faced with the unknown. In Ohio, a CE5 practitioner experienced an intense encounter involving nightmarish visions and an oppressive presence during a contact session. These disturbances included vivid, disturbing dreams and a feeling of being watched while trying to sleep. The practitioner, who was a devout Christian, decided to invoke the name of Jesus as a form of spiritual protection. During a distressing episode, they began to pray and recite Bible verses out loud, invoking the name of Jesus for protection and relief. They reported that as they continued to pray, the negative sensations and oppressive presence began to diminish. The disturbing dreams and feelings of being watched gradually ceased, and the practitioner felt a profound sense of peace and protection. They attributed the resolution of their distressing experience to the power of invoking Jesus' name and the prayers they used during that period. Another person who practiced CE5 in Canada was experiencing the phenomena such as unexplained presences and ominous feelings following contact sessions. They sought help from a Native American spiritual advisor who conducted traditional rituals, including a sweat lodge ceremony and prayer. The rituals were believed to help clear negative energies and restore balance, offering him relief from the experiences. One last example is a man in California who reported experiencing disturbing phenomena, including strange noises and unsettling visions after several contact sessions. To address these issues, they turned to a local spiritual community that practiced meditation and energy work. The community performed a series of protective rituals and meditative practices to shield against negative influences. He felt that these spiritual measures helped restore a sense of peace and reduced the intensity of the negative experiences. Now that we've covered the religious interpretations and protections in case you experienced the negative effects after CE5, I want to talk about some other practical ways to navigate the effects, as well as how to move forward and have a positive experience with CE5. If you're experiencing unsettling phenomena or emotional distress, it's important to address these issues head on. Try to stay grounded by maintaining a regular routine, practicing mindfulness, and engaging in activities that bring you joy and calm. Creating a comforting environment at home, such as by using relaxing lighting and scented candles, can also help ease feelings of anxiety. If the distress persists, seeking professional support from a mental health professional can provide you with tools and strategies to cope. There are also good online platforms like Reddit's experiential and CE5 subreddits, or dedicated CE5 forums to connect with others who have shared experiences. There are also local or online CE5 groups for practical guidance. When it comes to overcoming your fear, knowledge is your best ally. Start by educating yourself about CE5 and the potential effects to reduce fear of the unknown. The more you understand about what might happen, the less you'll be intimidated by it. Sharing your experiences with others who have had similar encounters can provide valuable comfort and reassurance. These connections can offer new perspectives and strategies for dealing with unsettling experiences. Practicing relaxation techniques is also key. Deep breathing exercises, mindfulness meditation, or even yoga can help you maintain calm and confidence. These practices can assist in managing stress and anxiety, making it easier to navigate any challenges that arise. It's important to remember that fear is a normal response, but it doesn't have to control you. With the right tools and support, you can address and overcome any negative effects that come your way. For protective practices, consider implementing rituals or habits that make you feel secure. This can include energetic protection techniques like visualizing a protective barrier around yourself or your home. Some people find it helpful to use crystals or amulets that are believed to provide protection. Regularly cleansing your space with smudge sticks or incense can also help out unwanted energies. Finally, integrating your CE5 experience into your life means reflecting on what you've learned and how it has impacted you. Keep a journal of your experiences to track your emotions and any changes in your life. This can help you process your experiences and find meaning in them. It's also important to maintain a balance between exploring new experiences and caring for your mental and emotional well-being. Connecting with a community of like-minded individuals can also offer support and context. So in conclusion, whether you're exploring CE5 for the first time or dealing with the after effects, remember that knowledge, preparation, and support are your best tools. Stay informed, connect with others, and don't be afraid to reach out for help when you need it. Embrace the experience with an open mind and a calm spirit, and you'll be better equipped to turn challenges into opportunities for growth. Again, this video was a look at the more negative aspects that could come up when doing CE5, but I'm not saying that by doing it you'll experience any of the negative things I described. I just found the topic interesting. So anyway, if you watched this far, thank you, and let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you later.